Hello and welcome to your first weekly matinee, a show where we talk about movies sometimes. Today we're talking about Spider-Verse, which if you didn't know, stars Miles Morales, who is the new Spider-Man of his universe, and other Spider people from other universes, all teaming up and having fun fighting a big, thick boy, Wilson Fisk. I'm one of your hosts, Philip Ullman.
I'm Nate Borsch, and I did not agree to that intro.
I am Matt Becker of the failed YouTube channel Shrug Repellent Bat Spray.
You both are.
Well, I was more of an additional member. I was kind of on the bench.
I was the co-founder, and then Nate was one of our actors.
In The Good Father, rather.
Good Father,
My bad.
Which you can still check out on YouTube.
Click the eye in the upper right-hand corner. Right is correct.
Link in the description.
No. Click the eye in the upper right-hand corner if you're watching on YouTube.
Just passed a solid 1,000 views.
If you're watching on if you're watching on Spotify, I guess. Oh well.
Okay.
So Spider-Verse. That's what we're talking about today.
And I'll never you called Kingpin a thick boy earlier.
I did not agree to that.
I'll never forget seeing it in the theater with Nate and a few other friends the first time. The moment Kingpin showed up on screen, Nate turned to me and whispered in my ear, "Boy, Kingpin is a wide boy."
Boy, dummy thick.
Jonathan, I was sitting next to him, and he turned to me, and he was like, "Nate, does Kingpin have any specific powers or
He's
anything special about him?" And I turned to him and stared at him for a minute, and I was like, "What? Kingpin's just a big boy." That's his power.
No, his power is control over the city. Technically.
Well, technically, but he's a big boy doing it.
So, points on the movie. Matt, what was your favorite scene?
First, let's start with Matt. Did you like the movie? What was your opinion of the movie?
Hated it.
No, it's all right. It's not as good as what is obviously the superior Spider-Man movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I hate Andrew
It
Garfield.
gave a good effort.
Oh, come on, Andrew Garfield.
Overall,
Sucks as Spider-Man.
It's very, very disappointing. I'm just kidding. I loved it.
Yeah.
Phantom
My favorite
Menace.
scenes were anything involving Spider Noir, played by Nicolas Cage.
Ooh, that's good.
The former Ghost Rider.
I think
That's
Peter
right,
was a legend.
It's like a Marvel movie.
Peter B.
The Marvel
Parker
movie.
is probably my favorite part of that entire movie.
Peter B. Parker?
Yeah, he just like him, and his whole arc ends in one sentence, and it's like, I think I want kids. And it's like, yeah,
That's it.
It's like, cool. I'm glad
Sometimes-
with the growth he
Before
has
he's like,
had.
She wanted kids, and I got scared. And later on in the movie, he's like, this kid thing, I think I'm willing to give that a shot.
Yeah.
It was almost it was very nice because they introduced him. That was subtle filmmaking done bluntly, which is very, very nice sometimes. When the character themselves recognize that they had an arc, and they're like, man, my worldview has changed because of this event.
I like how they got different voices for both Peter Parkers to show
did they?
that it's a different
Chris
voice for both of them,
and Jake
sort
Johnson.
of meant to show that just because it's the same person in a different universe, it's
That they're
not
different
completely
people.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was gonna
Yeah, I like
say that Peter B. Parker is he's very self-aware in that movie. I would hazard a guess that maybe he even knows that it's a movie.
I wouldn't say that.
The whole thing with Comic-Con.
He is
though.
not
It's
a
just
force.
he's
but
so used to being Spider-Man at that
If
point.
anybody
I
would,
would-
it's him.
I take Peter B as being the Spider-Man from what would be our universe.
Yes.
Exactly. He's just used to being Spider-Man.
Comic-Con exists in our universe, but it also exists within the Marvel universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Can we, real quick, Stan Lee's cameo? I've seen the movie 3 times now. Every time Stan Lee is on screen, I start crying. It's so sad.
It was such a nice, because that was the first movie after he passed away. That was
a
just
very
such a nice
fitting
little
cameo. Too.
Yeah.
Did they already filmed his thing for Endgame though, right?
Yeah. He's in Endgame, I think. He's also, I think his Far From Home cameo is the last cameo.
Mm-hmm.
No, but isn't Far From Home coming out before Endgame?
No, Endgame's coming out, and then Far From Home.
That. I don't look at trailers because
Far From Home is midsummer, I think. Somewhere.
In July, I think.
Yeah, July. All right, Phil, did you like the movie?
I loved it.
Got our base opinions.
I adore it. It's honestly probably my top movie of all time.
Of all time, really?
Yeah, I think I like it more than Scott Pilgrim, and was previously one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's still speaking of Scott Pilgrim, it's about as like stylized and
that's
bright.
Yeah, but it's an Edgar Wright film. You know what I mean? You can't really compare it.
That's the thing that I think always gets me about movies is like, sure, like I really love a broad spectrum of movies, but if a movie like makes a very powerful statement with just its existence and like how it looks, I think that's really interesting. Like the Lego Movie, for example, I really like too.
Also by Phil Lord.
Yes.
And Chris Miller,
who wrote this movie.
Yes.
Man's
not hot.
Super
those two
talented. Well, he's written like a ton recently. He's written Solo, Smallfoot. He's done all like he did Brigsby Bear.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too.
Yeah.
Brigsby Bear.
He produced Brigsby Bear.
Oh, that movie was amazing.
Yeah, he produced Solo, Smallfoot, Lego Ninjago, 22 Jump Street. He wrote the Lego Movie 1 and 2, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 1 and 2.
Cloudy with a Chance of Balls.
Man, yeah. He directed the Jump Street movies.
Yeah, he directed both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so the movie, I loved the Spider-Verse movie.
It's so good.
It was really just so good. It was it took the leap that it needed for Spider-Man because everyone's been stuck in
I see what you did there.
What did I do?
Ooh.
Yeah, that the whole movie is leading up to like you just gotta jump type of thing.
Yeah,
and here's the thing.
It was like the leap of faith that it like legitimately like a leap of faith that it needed because Spider-Man movies have been bogged down so much with reopenings and reintroductions, and it's just like, all right, let's bring on something new for a change.
Here's what I've always disliked about the recent Spider-Man movies: how they've always been afraid to branch out. Like it's always in all three incarnations, like Sam Raimi's movies, then Mark Webb's, and now we have Tom Holland. It's all Peter Parker is in high school, and that's it.
Yeah, he's navigating the social structure when he gets powers.
I think the thing is with the previous Spider-Man movies, maybe not Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but I would say definitely with like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, like they could have been any hero. Like they weren't
exactly
Spider-Man. Like this movie was very Spider-Man.
Yeah, but then you also have the people saying that, like, of course, Maguire is the best Spider-Man of all time, and Raimi's films are absolutely genius, which I see both sides of them being amazing.
Spider-Man
horrible,
2
you know,
was my favorite superhero movie ever. I don't know. This and Spider-Verse are definitely.
I've just never hopped on the Raimi train. You know, you know what I mean? Like I've never been on it. Like I
watched Spider-Man 2.
I've watched
that movie ain't perfect, but
I've watched that trilogy many times, and it's just like it's good. It's nothing special to me, you know. Like everyone's like between the score and some of the upside down kiss, like it's an unforgettable movie. Yeah, it's a good
music
score.
In those movies is incredible. Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Thursday. Mwah.
I also think you guys will probably disagree that Garfield's movies get a bad rap. Not to say that they were good.
Absolutely not. They suck. I actually hate those films.
I'm not saying that they're like amazing,
I actually hate
but they
those films.
are definitely
I think
hated
Garfield himself gets a
They're
bad
hated
rap,
on a lot more
tried
than
so
should
hard.
be.
And he's like a huge Spider-Man fan. He really tried to do the character justice, but the script and direction just did not work.
It just didn't hit home. I personally don't hate it as much as
I think Garfield could have been a good Spider-Man had he had a better script.
Yeah.
Because he's a good actor. He has proven time and time again.
I like Andrew Garfield. I don't really know. I honestly don't know what makes a good Peter Parker. Is it nerdy? Is it witty? You know, like is Tobey Maguire too nerdy with not enough wit? And is Andrew Garfield too hipster witty without it? Tom Holland strikes a perfect in between, I think. But even
definitely,
because like what makes
Homecoming really doesn't branch out too far, you know?
Why? Okay, I hate to get off topic because I know we're talking about Spider-Verse, but I just want to talk about Tom Holland real quick. What I like best about his portrayal is that he was the most like a kid.
Yeah, he was the most.
I genuinely thought he was 16.
Like,
Well, he looks young, you know.
Yeah, he's like
That helps.
He's like
very
22.
reckless.
Yeah, yeah,
he's
he's
like launched
older.
himself.
He's just like he's a good Spider-Man. I buy that he's new, you know.
Yeah, no. The thing I like most about Tom Holland's Spider-Man is just like his origin story is implied.
He's realer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that was like I think that was a perfect first step that led into, like, not and then directly lead into, but it's sort of similar to Spider-Verse. Is that the directors of Homecoming saw Peter Parker's origins as being told, so they implied it and just had Spider-Man. Whereas Spider-Verse took it one step further and was just like, we'll give him a quick origin story, but here is Miles Morales, a person we've never seen before.
They even say, like, at the beginning, like, Spider-Man, the one that we start the movie with, as Spider-Man, he's been Spider-Man for, like, more than a decade.
Yeah, he's been Spider-Man for a long time.
Did they say, like, 20 years? No, right?
No, less time, I think. It's been like a decade, I think. He's married to Mary Jane at that point.
I wonder.
Spoilers, by the way. If you're worried about spoilers, I don't know.
We probably should have mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah, don't. This
put a
is
little thing.
spoiler filled.
I can edit one in later. But, like, I wonder, that brings up a great question, though, but because, like, Peter B. Parker and Peter Parker are two different characters, I wonder if that had continued, if Peter Parker would have fallen into B. Parker's, like,
his
faults.
funk.
Yeah.
That sort of.
Like, would have
like,
been afraid of having kids to
and
voice
shit
Mary
like that.
Jane.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like that's sort of like one of those, like, abstract questions that really they don't know nor care to answer. You know,
Yeah, but it's still an interesting thing.
Peter Parker was like the perfect pinnacle Spider-Man.
I think, yeah, because the world that Miles is
That's
in,
definitely
like that was even that was the best part of that intro.
Like, fictional brands and everything. It's meant to say, like, this is a very fictional, romanticized world, whereas the world that Peter B. Parker's in has all the real brands that we have. It's meant to signify that this is, like, more closer to reality.
And, like, it was a perfect intro because in the beginning you had that really, and, like, everyone that wasn't familiar with Miles Morales' origin story didn't know that Peter Parker was going to die, you know. So everyone saw that saved Miles. He comes to him. He's like, "Oh, you're like me. I'll help you train. Like, I'm going to be very helpful in this case." And then he's killed, you know. And then the audience is left with, "Oh, what is Miles going to do? This was a nice change up willingness." And then you have Peter B coming in, who's scared of the responsibility of teaching someone. You know, it's a very nice introduction to the character. It's fresh.
Yeah, definitely. Again, Peter B. Parker is, like, my favorite part of that movie, and I think it's because somebody who's afraid of fatherhood falls into the role of fatherhood really well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
he's forced to take that mantle.
Yeah, whether he wants to or not. And all of his scenes with Miles and Gwen are really
just endearing. Like, even
so
the imitation, you know how they're outside the lab
I swore
and he copies his chin movements like that. He's a child copying his father, you know. He's thinking, like, it's a great, like,
it's a great parallel.
Great symbolism, but, like, it is.
He
it's
learns
good.
To be a father figure to this kid, and as he thinks that kids aren't so bad.
Yeah, it was just so good.
It's a very simple but effective character.
Yeah. Well, then, like, you even get into Gwen, and I've been a fan of Spider-Gwen since she premiered. I think that was like 2013. I don't know, maybe earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
Or something. Spider-Gwen's always just been, like, a very, very interesting character because they took such a fresh look at Spider-Man and said, what if Peter Parker wasn't good? You know, what if he was the Lizard? And Spider-Gwen, the person that died in our comics 60 years previous to this day or whatever originally, was Spider-Gwen, you know?
Spider-Woman.
Spider-Gwen. Her name's Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, but in the movie, she's Spider-Woman. She even says, I've been the one and only Spider-Woman.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
Spider-Woman is a different character.
I know, because she's got, like, the glide suit.
Yeah.
But, in in her little like comic intro thing, she's like,
Yeah,
and
she
for the
does say
past
that.
3 years or whatever, I've been the one and only Spider-Woman.
I forgot about that. My bad. Then you need to also get into the 3 supporting characters: Spider Noir, Penny Parker, and Spider-Ham. And the best part about them is like,
They're voice actors.
well, yeah, one, but then also that they're not bogging down the film.
They're not overused.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not
Yeah,
underused
exactly.
either.
They're there as a nice, like, I'd say the stars of the film are definitely Miles first, Peter B, and Gwen.
And then you have the 3 supporting.
I wouldn't even
comic
order
relief
those
guys.
3.
And then you have what?
I wouldn't even order those 3. I think they all had the same.
They all have. Well, I'd say Miles above everyone else, but then Peter B and Gwen are pretty even. Because this is Miles' movie, like pretty much.
Yeah, it's
in
been
my
an intro for
opinion.
Miles Morales.
Actually, it's the Prowlers movie.
Exactly. Oh, about the Proud. So good. They give him his own original score.
That scene.
That noise they use for him too, the like the thing.
It's so perfect.
Like the first
It
time I
kind of
heard
sounded
it,
like an 80s horror synth.
dude, the first time I saw that movie,
Mm-hmm.
that noise that they used for the Prowler actually put me on edge and made me anxious.
Well, it's awesome that they made his own original score. They get an awesome actor like Marshall Ali, who has like just an awesome voice. Get him to be just like, and then you have Miles caught between another perfect character development. You have Miles caught between 2 worlds. You have 2 father figures that turns into 3 father figures. You know what I mean? His uncle, his father, and Peter B. You know, he has 3 father's figures. He's being pulled between different schools. Has like being pulled like literally with the events of the movie. It's just great, literal figurative.
Father figure things always get me.
Yeah.
So like, I was super emotional during Spider-Verse.
The door scene at his apartment, that was so good.
His
That was just a good part.
Oh yeah.
His dad is so endearing because he cares so much, but like
I cried. I cry at like so many points in this movie.
Okay, the scene at the end where Miles in the Spider-Man costume.
Thank you
is
for
talking
your
to his dad,
service.
and then he just gives him a big hug.
then he gives him a hug. It's such an endearing relationship because we've gone through this entire movie, and it's sort of taught him to, not even taught, but it led him to the point of living with one father figure. You know what I mean? Just his dad. It's taught him to like appreciate him, if that's the right word. I don't know.
He didn't feel very connected to his dad at the beginning.
And his father didn't feel very him. You know. Now they're like trying, and it leads into a great, what could be a future movie. You know, like it could be a good future movie.
Do you think his dad knows?
No, not at all.
Nah.
I don't know.
I think he would stop. He would stop him if he knew.
But like at the same time, like the whole like "I love you" thing at the end.
Yeah, I think he was so confused that I don't think he knows.
Even the final fight gets me worked up emotionally. Like the whole like, "Come on, Spider-Man!" It's like, no, stop.
I love the part where he flips Peter B into the portal and is holding his shirt and he's just like, "You gotta go home, man." Yeah, it's so good. It's such I don't know. That's literally like all I could really say because we all agree it was just an amazing movie. You know.
Any scene involving his dad.
I actually have a complaint about the movie, even though
Do you?
Yeah, even though it's one of my
not-
favorite movies. The thing that really bugs me is like their Penny, Gwen, John Mulaney's character who doesn't have an other name, and Nicholas
Spider-Ham.
Yeah, Spider-Ham and Spider Noir. Their purpose as characters, if you break it down to their base, what they are, is like, you know, I know it feels like you don't, like nobody knows what you're going through, but like if anybody does, we do. And then there's that whole scene where they're like,
Then they pressure him.
yeah, they're all pressuring him in the spider cave, and they're like, can you do this? Can you do that? And it's
He's
like,
been Spider-Man for a day, not even. You know.
and it's
Yeah,
like,
I
you'd think
completely
they
agree.
of all people would be like, okay, he's like learning.
They're judging him, and he picks up on it within 2 days. You know, like
That's true.
Yeah, he's probably
Not
the best Spider-Man out of all of them.
it's not like he's not picking up. It's just that he's been Spider-Man for such a small amount of time, and even the whole training thing was so much more figurative than it was literal. You know what I mean? Because it's not like I could go out there, believe in myself, and be a superhero. You know what I mean? It's a very figurative story
Why
arc.
not?
I love the whole
Yeah.
subversion of the Sam Raimi movies when like the scene, the first Spider-Man when Peter tries to swing from the buildings he tries to make the web work.
Mm-hmm.
In Spider-Verse, it makes you think he's gonna do it, but then he immediately
it's a good. They have just good tropes. Yeah, I love that. It's just really nice. Like I love that his arc is more figurative than it is literal, because he's not really like at the end, after his like conversation with his dad and everything, like that's gotten him to the point of acceptance of his powers and belief,
accepting his responsibility,
and accepting himself, that he's just able to use his powers. You know,
the fact that his character arc isn't literal though is sort of like indicative of his motif though, because it's like his motif is like rap.
Yeah.
And rap, at least modern rap, is like very much like nothing's really spelled out for you, even though it kind of is, but it isn't.
Speaking of which, what did you guys think of the music choices?
Loved it.
I loved it.
Sunflower is like my current
Sunflower
favorite
is
song.
a great song.
It's my current favorite.
I was just listening.
So are we.
Yeah.
My setup together.
Yeah, it was a great album. It was a great choice, but like, yeah, I don't know.
The only one I didn't like was whenever there was like an emotional death scene, like right after Peter died, and they play like the "I'm not scared."
I love that song.
I just thought it didn't think it fit well.
I think it did. I'm not running. No, I'm not afraid of the fall.
Thank you for that rendition.
It's so good.
I thought that the music aligned.
The emotion that they wanted me to feel.
I think emotionally, this movie struck every chord for me. For me,
I wouldn't say that
for me, like I felt everything they wanted me to feel.
I felt everything they wanted me to feel, but it was never like where I was overwhelmed by emotion.
Oh, I was.
You know what I mean? Like I never got to that point where I was like overwhelmed, you know, because like I was just having too much fun to be overwhelmed. There's just like some genius details, you know, like even when he picks up the bagel and he throws the bagel at one of the scientists and it says bagel above his head.
Yep.
You know, like it's very gimmicky but like amazing at the same time, you know.
I love how like when they escape from Doc Ock and like they're swinging on the trees, and then Peter's telling Miles like, "Here, you got like he's saying."
Yeah, he's teaching him. It's
really like he's.
It's a very nice like father. It's a very nice father son.
It's a father playing catch with his son type of movie.
It's a very just like the movie comes down to like a father son relationship. Accepting
right down
responsibilities.
Right down to the words that Peter B is using is like very fatherly, because like when he says like thwip release, I'm thinking like he's teaching him how to throw a ball.
How to catch.
Yes, exactly.
The whole movie is just learning to like trust. It's learning to accept oneself. But even in Gwen's storyline, she's learning to trust others again.
Love, yeah.
You know, she's learning to, like make friends again because her best friend was killed or died. You know, so Miles is her friend. You know, like, yeah, it's nice.
Definitely.
Like,
we also need to talk about how the people working on it, the directors, John Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and what's his name? Rodney Rothman. There are the directors, and then Phil Lord and Rodney Rothman wrote it. And that's the whole group of people is just what happens when you get witty writers with great experienced animators all in one project. You know what I mean?
Like you have talented people do their thing.
You have Bob Persichetti, who's been like work on plenty of movies, storyboard artist for like Flushed Away. You've had him be the like rough and pooner for like Hercules, Mulan, all those like Disney movies. You have like Peter Ramsey doing huge movies as a storyboard artist, like Predator 2, Batman Forever. Yeah. AI, artificial intelligence, Men in Black. Fight Club.
Or
You know, like he's done a ton of movies in a very significant fashion. You know, he's even done recently A Wrinkle in Time, Sausage Party, Shark Tale, all those movies. Yeah, the winners.
The winners, yeah.
And it's funny that like these guys have history because Peter Ramsey worked on like Shrek. You know, I think Bob Persichetti also worked on Shrek, at least the Shrek the Halls. Oh, know that thing?
Yes.
The special.
Yes.
I could even if I hadn't known what it was, I think I could have assumed from the name.
And then you have Rodney Rothman and Phil Lord, who have worked on 2020 the Jump Street movies for years together, pretty much. Rodney Rothman wrote 22 Jump Street
21
with Phil Lord. I don't know. You just get like you have such an amazing cast that maybe hasn't been given the chance before. Because Peter Ramsey, he directed Rise of the Guardians. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Rise of the Guardians.
Yes.
But it's
good.
It's like it's a good movie, you know. Like people didn't really like it as much as maybe they could have, but I personally really enjoyed it.
I would say stylistically, it takes a lot of risks that don't pay off. Like in some of the character designs specifically, and that can be very distracting.
Yeah, I agree. But like it's just like it was like the perfect. You have these people who have been working on their craft for years.
I'm talking about Guardians, by the way, not Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, Rise of the Guardians.
They got together
all these like these
industry veterans,
hard hitters.
These 2 to 3 amazing like animators
doing this for years.
Yeah, two
well what they're doing.
You have these 2 like amazing animators who have been doing this for years. You have Phil Lord, who has done so many amazing movies recently. Or like, well, Lego Movie, you know, Lego Movie 2 even I heard was really good. I haven't seen it yet. Solo, he produced Solo and Smallfoot.
Should have directed Solo.
Yeah.
I really actually enjoyed Solo.
Did you?
I liked it all right.
I got to watch it on Netflix, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, you just... Yeah,
it was fine.
It was okay.
A lot of it was kind of bland, and
but like
a lot more vibrant.
Spider-Verse is just an impressive movie because you have these heavy hitters that maybe people haven't appreciated enough in the background coming together to make a movie that is so unique and special. Like shows what happens when you give experienced people the opportunity to create. You know what I mean? Because like in one of these articles I have in that I was looking up, one of the directors said like Phil Lord has been writing this in 2015 and it's been in pre-production since beginning of 2016, I believe, somewhere around then. Like this has been like a long time coming at this point, you know. And the movie had a $90 million budget. It made like foreign 182 million, domestically 189 million. So coming together, it made 372 million, which personally I think it deserved a lot more. Especially since Aquaman is breaking the billion mark, you know.
Oh, is it?
It broke it a while ago.
I didn't see it.
And
Spider-Verse,
a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, Spider-Verse did not get the love that it deserved. But you know that's still a huge accomplishment. You know, $372 million from a $90 million budget. That's pretty good.
Nate, it got the love it deserved at the Academy Awards.
True, it did. I was worried that it wasn't going to.
Then again, it didn't have that much competition. The only one it really had was Isle of
Dog.
I would have been fine with that winning, but
I would have been upset that Spider-Verse didn't win.
I would have been upset if, like, I don't know, like Wreck-It Ralph 2 won.
Was that nominated?
Yep.
Oh my goodness, we had some bad nominations this year.
Did you see Wreck-It Ralph 2?
No.
Well, then how do you know it was bad?
I saw Wreck-It Ralph 1.
Excuse you, I enjoy that movie.
I liked Wreck-It Ralph 1, but is it really an Oscar contender?
In the year it came out,
also nominated.
Yeah, in the year it came out, yeah. I
but
could
like,
see that.
like
nominated.
Those kind of movies I don't see as Oscar contenders.
Why not? I really enjoyed that movie.
I really enjoyed it too.
It was the first video game movie I feel that didn't spit in my face as a gamer.
Would you count Scott Pilgrim as a video game movie?
No.
No.
It's a comic book
Not
movie,
at all.
If
Very
that
video
either.
game-esque.
Edgar Wright did a very video game-esque movie, but it's more of a comic book than a movie, you know?
It's like a comic book movie that takes place in a video game world, but it's not a video game movie. There's a difference. Very complicated, but there is a difference.
A very like one of my favorite shots of the movie is just
Spider-Verse
introduction. Yeah, in Spider-Verse, it's like the pan around of Miles as he's like listening to Sunflower and he's practicing.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
It's just as the introduction of his character, showing you his room, showing you just what he's like. He's just laid back kid.
There's plenty of scenes that are just like very memorable visuals. The upside down when he's falling into the city, you know, at the end.
Like, have the whole song memorized.
Yeah. Or even when the reactor explodes in the beginning and Kingpin is like pushed back. That was a very memorable shot to me. You know,
it's gonna be a hell of a light show.
Good one.
It's Pinkins.
Pimpkins.
It's his line.
What was it?
That's like Kingpin had that line.
He said that before the reactor went off.
Like before they turned it on for the first time.
So I was looking up.
To see this. It's a hell of a light show.
I was looking up some of the reviews for Spider-Verse, and people complain of obnoxious visuals or like stories that go absolutely that really aren't engaging.
And I'd like to say, people are allowed to have wrong opinions.
I don't. All right, so in some of the reviews that I've read, people are either very arrogant about their decision and just say like, "Oh man, this was a horrible movie," that a lot of like hipster people are really into today. But then you also read the reviews that are more well thought out that I can agree with. You know, like people tell me that they hate the visuals, that they're obnoxious, but then they explain it, and while I don't agree, I see where they're coming from. That's
the thing. Like, I get it when people are like, "This movie gives me a headache visually," and it's like, yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
my friend Cole,
argue against that.
My friend Cole had a really good point where he was like, at some points it like looks 3D, but it's not.
Well, they did that on purpose.
And it's like there are parts of the movie that is just like, that's blurry, and I can't see that. And but like
a lot of the criticisms that I've seen have been comparing it to Raimi's movie. You know, like they're talking about score differences, shot differences. Like I see a lot of the upside down kiss reference, and like Spider-Verse doesn't have an upside down kiss, I guess. You know what I mean? Like an upside down kiss moment. There's a lot of memorable visuals. You know what I mean? Like
I'd say like it's easily the best, like the most memorable Spider-Man movie from a visual standpoint. Before it was the Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah.
We're very
careful. He's a hero.
I don't understand the obsession with Raimi movies as much as people do obsess over them. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way. Like I like them, but they're not.
They were enjoyable. I don't know. Like people talk about the score of the movie. While the score of the movie is amazing, you know, we also can't keep making the same Spider-Man movie over and over again. You know what I mean? Like people want another Spider-Man movie to be made, but they want Sam Raimi making it, which is not what film is there to do. I don't want the same movie made over and over again.
That's like
even if it's a bad movie, I'm fine with it being a bad movie if somebody's trying something new.
That's like who's in controversy right now? Jordan Peele?
He's in controversy?
What did he say?
He was like, literally like yesterday, I think. He was just like, I don't see myself casting a white guy. But to be fair, a lot of people are cutting him off and saying like his next point is why I brought this up is he's like, I've seen that movie before.
I did see that.
Yeah, he's like, I've seen this movie before, and I get that.
Completely agree with him. He's not everyone's like, oh, so he's racist. No, he just doesn't want to.
I think it's also important to note that we're three white dudes. You know, we're talking on an issue like
as
an
if they
issue of
couldn't
race.
tell.
No, we're talking on an issue of race, and like we're three white dudes. Well, they can't. It's a auditory medium.
Yeah, I don't know that. I completely agree with him.
I do too.
He sees when he says, "I've seen that movie before."
So have I.
Yeah, like
I've seen 3 of those movies before.
I don't know.
The Spider-Man movies, right?
What? No. So, Jordan Peele, he's making a new horror movie, and he wants it.
He made a new horror movie.
Made.
Us.
But I think no, he's making another movie, and
Yeah, he's making another one.
He wants to cast an all-black family, which he's like, and people are like, "Oh, that's racist," and it's like, "Well, you've seen that movie." Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. People get mad about anything though.
God forbid other people have a chance, you know.
Yeah. People will get mad about anything. You know, Jordan Peele is
welcome to
revolutionary. He is just an amazing director, an extremely talented guy. You know, like everything he touches is just good. You know, I don't know. I feel like people are too scared nowadays to step outside the box of what they're comfortable with. That's why we're mad when Spider-Verse doesn't line up exactly with what Raimi envisioned.
We're used to seeing.
You're like, we are too scared to step out and see. I'd rather watch a bad movie done originally than a good movie done uniformly. You know.
That's what I love, because going back to what I said at the beginning about how like all the recent Spider-Man movies have just been Peter Parker in high school, because like in the comics, Peter Parker eventually grew up, and there were other people who've been Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Yeah. There's like, other stories to tell.
The MCU Spider-Man, they wanted to see Miles Morales, but that didn't happen. I mean, I'm fine with.
I think we may get to Miles Morales in the MCU.
We will,
because we've even seen
Uncle Aaron.
Yeah.
And
which I don't see that Uncle Aaron being the Prowler. To be honest, he's sort of a little too chill.
And so, yeah, and here we have a movie that features an adult. Not only features an adult Peter Parker, also Miles Morales.
It features 2 adult Peter Parkers.
And it's really good, and it made a lot of money and was critically acclaimed.
It also features a talking pig.
I don't know. I feel like
an anime girl.
This movie is sort of
featuring anime.
This movie is sort of like the indication that people want original stuff. You know, like
I want to shift what we're talking about, because like I mentioned Spider-Ham. Can we talk about John Mulaney?
I love John Mulaney.
Me too. He's so funny.
I just watched his comedy specials on Netflix.
They're so good.
They're so entertaining.
My favorite is the thing where it's like, so you know, I lied like a liar.
That's another thing. Like, it didn't overdo gimmicks. Spider-Verse, you know, Spider-Ham is a gimmick, but I never at any point felt like Spider-Ham was
overstaying his welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Overstaying his welcome. I felt his jokes were extremely cheesy on purpose. Yeah. He was just a very gimmicky.
They were a good excuse to show off new animation styles.
Yeah, exactly.
As well as provide comic relief.
Yeah. John Mulaney was the perfect voice for that. Voice acting, though. Nick Cage.
Do animals still talk in this universe?
Yeah.
Some of their quotes are just perfect. Like, even Spider Noir's "I let matches burn so I can feel something."
One quote from Spider Noir.
No, my favorite quote involves one of my favorite quotes involves Spider Noir. It's like I can't remember the exact context, but it's like, we're in a basement. Why is there wind down here?
Yeah.
I go wherever the
wind follows me wherever I go, and it smells like rain.
Smells like rain. Hold on. Yeah, the scene where we're all asking questions, and Spider-Man goes, "Can you close off your feelings so you don't get crippled by the moral ambiguity of your violent actions?"
I love that shit. Yeah.
It's so good. Oh, it's so good. Even like the part where Peter B is sneaking into the Alchemex facility, and he's like, "All right, find the head doctor." Oh yeah, I know the doctor. Like, Miles is like, "Oh yeah, I know the doctor. She's the whatever," and he's like, "Okay, reassess my personal biases."
Yeah.
And then it's just so clever, original, and even like the support. You need to get into like the supporting cast, even in addition to the main cast of Shamik Moore, Jake Johnson, and Haley Steinfeld.
Can we talk about Aunt May?
Yeah, Aunt May was great. But like even like those 3 headliners of the movie, Shamik Moore, Jake Johnson, and Haley Steinfeld, are also joined by such an amazing supporting cast of like Liv
Nicolas
Shriver,
Cage,
Chris Pine,
John
Lily
Mulaney.
Tomlin, Catherine Hahn. You know, like very talented supporting cast. You know, and like everyone else, like Mahershala Ali and everyone else. You know, is just amazing.
I found the exact quote that I was talking about, by the way. It's Spider Noir introduces himself. First of all, he says, "Hey fellas," which is great. Is he in black and white? Where's that wind coming from? We're in a basement. Wherever I go, the wind follows, and the wind smells like rain.
It's clever. I even love his Rubik's Cube gimmick.
Yeah, and he's like selling it at the end. Or like he's like the wonderful, yeah.
It's
So good.
so good. It's just clever. It's an original.
Oh, another great supporting cast quote is like, "That's all, folks." Is he allowed to say that, like, legally?
Yeah, it's
It's like the
It'll
greatest.
fit in your pocket.
It'll fit in your pocket.
well, that's like the perfect part about the movie is that it combined heavy hitting with serious.
Like the
You know what
Hammer.
I mean? Like it managed to do a comic-y, cheesy gimmicks with also serious motif and actions.
Just like how comic books do. Like
Are
they
supposed to
combine
do, you know?
heavy-hitting drama with screwball comedy.
Exactly. Miles' origin story is like my favorite because even in the comics, like you're looking at this kid who's been shown his whole life this amazing person, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, you know, and then he dies, and now he's left to worry about the city by himself with no one, everyone expecting something of him to be similar to Spider-Man. He has to live up to something that he's never done before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's forced now to take the place of Spider-Man, who has been protecting the city for 20 some odd years. I don't know, like, at random times. I'm not even sure what it was in the comics. Just like a fresh kid who has the pressure and weight of the world socially and larger than that, his own personal life. He just has all those pressures, you know?
Yeah. It's great.
Mm-hmm. We also need to like talk about the spider that bit Miles.
42.
Yeah, was
That was the
that
number that got him into the school.
was it?
Yeah, because you know how he won this lottery, and that's how he got into
Oh, like he won the lottery with the spider. That's clever. You know. But like, did the spider come from the lab or did it come from the portal?
It was from Alchemex.
It was from
Yeah, but are we
like-
sure? Are we sure whether that lab was like pretty much shut down?
Actually, no, I think you're right. It's probably
Is it from a different
It's
world?
from a different world because it
could've come from
glitches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. So that's
Because
where
they've
like
Theoretically, that
done the
universe
portal thing
isn't supposed to
before.
have a Spider-Man.
But
Theoretically.
that's where we get into the future of the Spider-Verse movies. Is it going to be a successful future, and
I think we're getting
where
a
can they
sequel.
go with it? You
I
know?
think we're getting a sequel, and it's going to be about that post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oscar
really
Isaac. That was a
hoping for
good.
that.
That was a good post-credit scene.
That was Oscar Isaac?
It was Oscar Isaac doing Spider-Man 2044. Is that his name?
No way.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Oscar Isaac. So even that, like, they do such a small role, but they get Oscar Isaac to read it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Spider-Man's alternate identity is like Miguel something.
Yeah, something like that.
O'Hara, Miguel O'Hara, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's honestly, I'm scared for the future of Spider-Verse.
No, I just hope they make another one. I
But,
don't
like,
care if it's
what if-
bad.
what if-
I don't care if it's bad. I just want more.
But that ruins
I
it.
want to see more of these.
No.
Bad.
I don't
Donald.
think a bad sequel ruins the original.
Yes, it does. to me.
No, it
It
doesn't.
does not.
It does.
Well, you're wrong.
I'm not wrong necessarily. I understand that the other movie still exists, but a poor sequel followed up by the original to me is just wasted potential. You know, like even the Lego movie. I have not seen the Lego movie 2, but I heard that it was a bit of a letdown based from the first one. And I don't want that to be the case with Spider-Verse. You know?
I don't think it does not ruin the first one. Because you can always watch the first one without
You
the
can always go
context of the
back.
sequel.
Yeah, but it
The other
ruins the continuity of it, in my opinion.
Like, I feel like what Nate's getting at is that it almost like ruins the characters. Almost like everything the first movie was building up maybe was for nothing.
I don't agree with that because I think this movie has like if there isn't a sequel, I think this movie is fine on its own.
Oh well, I completely agree. It's fine on its own.
Which I would argue because it can stand on its own. Or I would argue because of that, it doesn't ruin. It doesn't get ruined by a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be, if they aren't confident enough to make a second one, I'd be happy with it staying by itself. You know.
Side note: can you guys still hear me well?
Yeah.
Yep.
I had to change locations.
Yeah, we noticed.
Fine.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a second one scares me because I don't know where they're going with it.
I think that as long as these characters are still kept consistent, they're still they still grow and change.
I feel
like there's further.
I couldn't really care less about the story so much as I do about the characters.
I'd even argue that the fact that these characters have had an entire movie to already be developed makes writing the story that much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like it's like kind of like if you were writing a story about myself, Matt, and you. It's sort of like not like, oh, what should Nate's characters do? It's like, what would Nate do?
I agree with what Matt said before, is that the story almost doesn't matter because from Spider-Verse, the last part that I took away
was the story.
Was Kingpin's intentions, which are still awesomely developed intentions because he lost his family, and that's also an emotional impact, very subtly. Well, not subtly, it was a whole scene, but it was very well introduced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I agree with what you said, Matt, that the story doesn't necessarily matter, but I also feel like it should be a nice, at least a nice backdrop because we've lost the gimmick.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not saying like forget the story entirely.
Yeah, because we've also lost the multiverse gimmick in the second movie because that's something that's already been done. You know what I mean? Because like if we meet like 6 new Spider-Men, I'm not going to care about them as much as I care about these characters.
I think what, if anything, the next Spider-Verse movie would be Miles, Gwen, and Peter B. Peter B, like maybe it's a more of an emphasis on him getting his life back together. And then those 3 meet another 3 new Spider-Man.
Well, even Gwen came back at the end of Spider-Verse and was like, I need your help to Miles.
She was just like, hey, let's like hang out. Like,
let's see. Oh, well, still, you know, that still leads it,
maybe. She was able to do that.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's
maybe that leads in.
Yeah, no, it has to do with what the future Spider-Man, whose number I can't remember.
Yeah, it's either 2040. I think it's 2044.
Miguel's Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure it's like that's got to have some form of time travel. I think that
2099. Spider-Man 2099. That's.
And maybe the next gimmick will be
Well, yeah, we even have Spider-Man 2099 going through different universes.
And time, I think.
Given the lighthearted and campy nature of that end credit scene, are you sure it wasn't just meant as a joke?
I think it was meant as a joke.
I think with the potential of being set up into something more.
So here's what I think. The bit of him, like, leading up to him traveling to the old cartoon, all of that is for real, but it's like, look at his stupid, his goofy Spider-Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it has the potential to lead into a further story where Spider-Man 2099 has come to the conclusion that other Spider-Men have not, and he's going to try to save the multiverse. Something happened, needs to save the multiverse, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Gwen being able to communicate with Miles, if that's real, or if it was just a gimmick, means, like, depending, means that maybe it's happening in her universe, you know what I mean? So maybe we're gonna.
I think the better backdrop would be Peter B's, personally, because
I don't think the universe matters as much.
But I think if you set it like if it's Miles leaving at that point,
then Miles becomes a secondary character. It's not gonna be his story.
Yeah.
I want him to remain the main character.
Remain the lead character.
Well, yeah, I do too. I don't think him leaving his universe makes him a secondary character. I just think that if anything, they're going to put more of an emphasis on Peter B.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll become a little bit.
I think
he'll
they
take
need
Gwen's role, if anything.
they need they definitely need to find a way to introduce new story points, because we've sort of experienced Peter B full arc.
Because the first movie this movie just threw a ton at us.
Yeah, but like cleverly, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like when we think about it, what, like 5 out of the Spider-Men reached some sort of arc. You know what I mean? Spider-Ham, even, like, you could argue, reached an arc.
I don't know.
Well, I guess Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham not really, but Penny Parker, is that her name? Penny Parker?
Yeah, I would argue
she
had no
reached
development.
an arc.
How so?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking
I feel
about.
like, well, okay, so like when her spider bot is destroyed. Yeah,
If anything, she's worse off than at the beginning of the movie.
Is she?
I
don't think
she's
so.
no longer like Spider-Man.
Yeah, she is. She was building a new robot. At
That
the
is
end.
True.
Is
He
she?
has a point.
Yeah, she
Yeah, at
was.
the end.
But it's also like the AI is gone, isn't it?
No, it was a spider controlling the
Spider's
robot.
still alive.
What if it died in the multiverse?
No, it
just-
hopped on her
going-
shoulder.
Yeah, no, but going through the portal, it's just like,
Just
oh, it
dies.
burnt up.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
like, it's dead. It's gone.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I definitely don't. I think we may get slight cameos from like Noir, Ham, and Penny in the next movie, but they're
I hope
definitely
not.
not going to be stars.
Major characters.
They're
I hope
definitely not going to be major characters.
Do you see?
Yeah,
I think they
cameos
just
from-
released a Peter Porker.
Oh, that's his name, Peter Porker. I completely
Yeah.
forgot.
I think they just released like a little mini animated thing. I found it on YouTube. I don't know where it was originally though. It was like this whole little special about he was fighting a villain called Crawdaddy.
I don't know who that is.
Crawdaddy.
I don't know a lot about
Dr.
Spider-Ham.
Crawdaddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a little animated special, and it was like set up like a Sunday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
So, I wonder with the next movie if the same people are going to stay on for it. You know, if the same people stay on for writing and directing, I definitely feel like the movie could be just as good, if not better, than this one. But if new people start coming in, I don't know. Do you think
Yeah.
they're going to stay on?
Because like they switched directors between the Lego movies. I haven't seen this, but I don't know. I heard it wasn't as good.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one either, so I can't make a great assessment. But I don't know. I feel like changing the creators sort of loses the I don't know, some of the heart that it had before. So I really hope they keep makers.
I hope they keep at least most of the same people.
All right, so I'm looking at time here. Let's go final points. Let's go Nate, Matt, myself.
All right.
So final points, Nate.
Final points. Final points. It was a good movie. Watch the movie. If you haven't watched the movie, watch the movie. It's a gimmicky, fun adventure that also hits some of the harder, heavy points that makes you feel comfortable and safe, but also explores a new realm of Spider-Man that I guess put some people off, but is extremely exciting after getting 3 series of the same Spider-Man. Relatively, you know, we've gotten Peter Parker 3 different movies, so it's just an exciting, fresh movie, you know.
I'm sure like some people went into this movie not even knowing people other than Peter have been Spider-Man.
Exactly. My sister even said, hearing about the movie, that she has little to no interest in the movie because it just seems like not overwhelming, but just seems like a pointless movie. I feel like that's the mentality a lot of people are going into it with, you know. That's just another Spider-Man movie that was unnecessary.
I'd argue it's anything but.
Exactly. It's fresh. It's not unnecessary. It's needed to keep it up, you know?
Mm-hmm. Matt?
It's one of the best looking animated movies I've ever seen. It's definitely the best Spider-Man movie visually. I'm debating whether or not this or Spider-Man 2 is my favorite. I have a huge soft spot for Spider-Man 2.
What, not 3?
3 I didn't think was that bad.
People hate on 3 too much.
Don't at me.
Don't
But
at you.
Yeah, it's a beautifully looking movie.
I haven't seen action, comedy, and drama blended so well in an animation since probably Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That is a very good point to make, because I was
That's
going to say, I think
great comparison.
I was going to say, I think Scott Pilgrim did that blend really well in live action. Is it my turn?
Also,
no, it's
every scene with his dad was extremely emotional, very well done, and Spider Noir was easily a standout.
It hit all the right points at all the right times. It hit the emotion at the right times, hit the comedy at the right times.
Yep.
Phil?
It's my turn. So I think I'm going to talk about what you guys didn't mention, and that's, like, I think this movie was cast, like, perfectly, right down to every side character. I think this movie was scored nearly perfectly, in my opinion, perfectly, but I know Matt had some issues with some of the songs.
Just not the score, mostly the soundtrack.
There really is no score to the movie. It's the soundtrack. I mean, there's score, obviously.
There were a couple of songs that I wasn't
what I meant.
that big a fan of.
Like, I just think all the bits that, like,
Prowler's own original score.
Like, I think that most of the bits that superhero movies don't get right, or, like, get almost right, this movie got perfect. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. So even animation frees them up to do that more.
Exactly. Like,
it gives them the option to make it a comic book.
You're more free to go off model, which is something that humans can't physically do.
People were complaining about Kingpin's size. People actually complained about Kingpin being, like, not human looking, but it's an animated movie.
All right, so
exactly. There's this. Speaking.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Going on what you were saying about animation, you're being able to get away with a lot more. There's this video by a YouTuber called Houston Productions, and he made kind of a video essay, but not so much, called "Animation is Limitless."
Oh, it is.
Exactly.
What do you say?
Well, I think here. Why don't you just send it to me? We'll put a link in the description.
I'll link it to you guys.
I don't think it's very fair to the original creator to.
No.
That's what I was intending.
Yeah, so just link it.
Yes. Okay. So I think we're at the part of the show where we would usually be wrapping up a little bit here. But, Matt, would you like to explain our little gimmick?
Just as soon as I send the link. There we go. All right, you guys should have it.
Awesome.
And so Phil and I when planning out the podcast, came up with this gimmick idea where we'd each take turns suggesting not a single movie, but a category of films, whether it be genre, director, time period, etc. And then we each have to watch a movie that falls into that category, and then by the next episode, we each present our movie and why we chose it.
And that'll happen after the main discussion, which will not usually be as long as we talked about Spider-Verse, but because we didn't have a category to start off on.
We were just talking about
Spider-Verse, because I personally wanted to talk about it.
So that'll be coming at you next week.
And this week, Matt is picking the category.
All right, so Nate, what you were saying before about my category being very sick at the same time, not because of what you said, mostly because it's kind of true, because most of my categories are going to be a little...
No, I didn't mean basic.
Outside the box, but my goal with this is to recommend various films and filmmakers that you guys might have otherwise not have checked out or heard of.
All right.
So for the next show, I want to pick a filmmaker that I myself I've watched a couple of his movies, but want to get more into. And so this category will be any movie directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Interesting.
Nate, have you heard of him?
Not really.
I don't even know the name.
Just a brief rundown of his filmography. He's done There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis, Boogie Nights, Punch Drunk Love with Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah, you were super into Punch Drunk Love.
I love that movie.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
So yeah, just look up his filmography.
And yeah, look up on IMDb, pick a movie.
Oh, he did
Yeah,
Boogie Nights.
he's done like
Don't
IMDb
tell
will
us.
list his filmography,
What? Yeah.
but
That you save that for the next episode.
What? I'm not gonna watch Boogie Nights.
so yeah,
Oh,
like
he
his
did
film.
Boogie. I thought you were saying I'm
Yeah,
gonna do.
he
No,
directed
he
Boogie
did
Nights.
Boogie Nights.
Yes.
So
Anyway,
yeah, on IMDb you'll see like his filmography. It'll be like a short, like not documentaries, but there'll be like short films and like other stuff like that. But it's just movies, just any movie directed by him.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, awesome.
Alright.
So thank you very much for watching.
Thank you for joining us on the first one.
I was talking.
We're working on it together.
The start of something. The start of a
All of
beautiful
us saying
friendship.
thank you.
So thank you very much for watching the first weekly matinee. Remember to tune in next week, and if you didn't know, hopefully by now, you can listen to it on all of your favorite podcasting places, such as Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. So be sure to check it out there. Bye-bye.